All right, just a moment ago we had Around the World, and we didn't have anybody make it all the way around the world. We had a couple people with 5. It was pretty evenly matched. A lot of people moved a lot of seats. Let's just run through these very quickly one more time. Class, this is a point, an exact location in space indicated with a capital letter. This is a
line segment.
Line segment. It's a portion of a line that runs between two endpoints. This is an octagon. 8 sides. Think octopus, 8 tentacles. Octagon. I don't know. Maybe that'll help. Heptagon with the 7 sides. This one was the one that wasn't in your textbook. Pentagon has the 5 sides. I said if you flatten out these sides like a house, think of a penthouse maybe. Here we have a trapezoid. 2 sides parallel. The other 2 not parallel. So 1 pair of sides are parallel. Here we have a line. It runs through those 2 points to infinity in both directions. Not a whole lot of good to us if it's infinite, but whatever. Polygons. Polygons, closed figures bounded by straight line segments. These lines are simply intersecting lines. This here is a parallelogram. Both pairs of sides are parallel. It is a parallelogram, but more specifically a rectangle because it has right angles at the vertices. Hexagon. Remember 6 sides, hexagon. They both have X in them. Here we just have an angle. Remember we could name it angle Y, or if we wanted to go X, Y, Z, or Z, Y, X would work as well. These 2 lines are parallel. And remember the notation for parallel looks kind of like an 11, but stretched out a little up and a little down. Here we have a square. It's a rectangle, so it's also a parallelogram, but it's a rectangle with all of its sides equal to each other. These triangles are similar because they're the same shape, but they're not necessarily the same size. And remember, for similar, we just use a single little squiggle. Remember, not 2 squiggles. That means approximately equal to. A single squiggle means similar. Here we have a rhombus. It's got all the sides equal like a square, but it's not got the right angles. So it's a parallelogram with equal sides. These lines are perpendicular. And remember, the notation for perpendicular is that upside down T looking thing. These triangles are congruent. Remember, the symbol for congruent is an equal sign with a squiggle on top. Equal sign with the squiggle on top. This is a ray. Starts at one endpoint but goes to infinity in one direction. Page 105 or 150 rather in your textbooks. Let's take a look at your homework together. You did 1 to 15 in the homework section. Checking that. We did it all in here and there. There we go. Good. All right. Excellent. Excellent. Yes. See. Whoops. Kicking water bottle. Slide it a little closer to your desk if you would, please. We're at 150. There we go. All right. Yes, yes, and yes. All right, question number 1 asks us to find the perimeter. Begs the question, what does perimeter mean, Jalen?
The area, not the area, the around the shape.
There, the distance around a shape. There we go. The distance around a polygon, more specifically. Area is how much stuff is inside. We'll get to that a little bit later. But the perimeter is the distance around the outside of a shape. What's the basic way we find perimeter? Just as a general rule, Michael?
Like the formula?
No, not a formula. Just how do we find perimeter?
Addition.
Specifically adding what?
Adding all the sizes.
There we go. Add up all the sides.
Yeah.
Sizes. Adding up all the sides is correct. The sum of the sides, if we want to sound mathy about it. So number 1, we add up the sides. What do we get for that perimeter? Griffin?
29 miles.
29 miles is correct. Number 2, they didn't label all the sides for us, but they did, right? If both 2 lines are marked with the same number of hash marks or tick marks, that means they're equal. So the one slanty line is 21. The other one, it must also be 21. So what's the perimeter, Bryson?
117 inches.
117 inches is correct. We have a funny hourglass-looking thing. It's just a hexagon, but it caved in instead of bulging out on the sides. And 4 different sides are 8 millimeters. 2 of the sides are 10. So what's the perimeter there, Ben?
52 millimeters.
There we go. 52 millimeters is correct. How many got all 3 of those correct? Now, we do have some formulas, though, for just a couple of figures. One of our figures is a rectangle. What's our formula for the perimeter of a rectangle, Luciana?
E is 2L plus 2W.
P equals 2L plus 2W. We have two different lengths, we have two different widths, so double the length, double the width, and add those doubled amounts together. So if you have a rectangle that's 14 inches by 60 inches, what's the perimeter on number 4? Elaine?
40, P equals 40 inches.
40 inches is correct. Then they give us a square. Well, what's the quick, easy way to find the perimeter of a square, Corey?
P equals 4s.
P equals 4s, because all four sides are the same anyway, just multiply by 4. So on number 5, if the side is 3.4 centimeters, what's the perimeter, Kirsten?
13.6 centimeters.
13.6 centimeters is correct. Number 6, they give us a rectangle with a length of 10.25 kilometers, a width of 4.2 kilometers. What's the perimeter on number 6, Sam? Oh, I think you multiplied length times width. Instead of doubling the length, doubling the width. So we want to multiply the 10.25 times 2. We want to multiply the 4.2 times 2, and then we're going to add those two things together. So should have had a 20.50 and an 8.4. Add those to get what, Michael?
28.99 kilometers.
There we go. 28.9 kilometers is correct. Number 7, read that for us. Sam, we'll come back to you.
The perimeter of Philip's yard is 450 meters. His yard is shaped like a square. What is the length of the side of his yard?
Ooh. We know, class, if we know the side, we multiply by 4 to get the perimeter. But in this problem, they told us the perimeter. What would I need to do to figure out how big a side is then, Jalen, as you take your water bottle off your desk? Divide by 4. So what did you get for the length of one side, or each side of his square yard?
The length of the side is 112.5 meters.
How many had 112.5 meters? How many said 1,800 meters? And you multiplied by 4. Make sure you're careful. It told you the perimeter, so divide the 4. If you know the side, you multiply by 4 to get the perimeter. Question?
I had a 112 and a half.
That's the same thing. 112.5 or 112.5 meters is correct. Yep. You could even say 112 meters, 50 centimeters. I mean, if you really wanted to. I wouldn't, but you could. I mean, I would give you credit for that. I'd probably like Smart Alec next to it or something like that if you did that, but I would give credit for that. Number 8, go ahead and read that one for us if you would, Corey.
The Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool is located in Washington, D.C. The width of the reflecting pool is 51 meters and its length is 618 meters. What is the perimeter of the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool?
All right, so what shape must this pool be, class?
Rectangle.
Must be a rectangle because it has different length and width. So Sam, using the formula for the area of the perimeter rather of the rectangle, what do I put here where the L is?
You put 618.
And that means what do I need to do with the 618? Multiply it by 2. So if we do that, she gives us 1,236 meters. And then we also need to plug in for the width of the pool, Sam.
51 meters.
51. And we need to multiply that by 2 to get 102 meters. And then finally, Sam, we simply add those two things together. What do we get for our answer, Bryson? 1,338 meters is correct. How many have both word problems right? You got them both? All right. Questions on either of those word problems? All right, we didn't get a chance to do those in class. We were going to do some word problems in class together yesterday, just ran out of time. Let's take a look at some of these other questions. Number 9, what is the geometric term for an exact location in space? Kirsten.
Point.
Point. What is the name for a portion of a line having 2 endpoints, Ben?
Line segment.
Line segment. Number 11, what is the kind of intersecting lines, rather, form 4 right angles, Luciana?
Perpendicular.
Perpendicular lines. Number 12, what kind of lines never intersect, Elaine?
Parallel lines.
Parallel lines. Number 13, what is the general name for any 4-sided polygon, Jalen?
Quadrilateral.
Quadrilateral is correct. You got it out. Number 14, how many sides does a triangle have, Griffin?
3.
And how many sides does a hexagon have, Sam?
6.
6 is correct. Good. Questions on the homework? Flip back, if you would, to page 147. I want you to do the review section on page 147. Then we'll get back into some geometry stuff. We worked just a few of these types of problems in our homework last night with fractions. Do the review, 16 to 21, on page 147. Some quick practice with fractions, adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. We will see fractions periodically in this chapter. I want to make sure we're going to be good to go with those. Several people already finished. Take just about another minute to finish up. Yes, sir. What is it? Noisy or not noisy? That's my question. We finishing up? Which of these problems, class, do I need a common denominator?
16.
Just 16 and 17. Those two need a common denominator. 45 for 16 and 16 for number 17. Which of these will I do some canceling?
17. 19 and 18.
Pretty much all the rest of them, right? There's going to be some canceling that I can do. Which ones do I have to flip something first?
20 and 21 and 19.
19 through 21, right? So the key is seeing what you see, knowing what to do. Number 16, what did you get for your answer, Corey?
11 and 37 over 45.
11 and 37 45ths is correct. Number 17, what did you get, Sam?
5, 16. Like 9, like 5, 16.
Oh, okay. I think I know what you did. You got your 18 and 1/16 minus 9, and you changed it to 6/16, correct?
Yeah.
Can you take 6/16 away from 1? No, we've got to do what?
We got it by
Borrow. Make this a 17 and add on what?
16.
16 16ths to really get how many? 17 16ths. Now we'll subtract, and we should have 8 and 11 16ths. Careful not to try to subtract both directions. Number 18 for redemption. You canceled some stuff. What'd you get?
1/6.
Ooh, not 1 and 1/6. You can't. Did you cancel, Sam?
No.
On this one, did you do some canceling stuff? You didn't. Okay. Make sure you cancel. 9 and 3 cancel to give me 3 and 1. 5 and 10 cancel to give me 2 and 1. When we multiply straight across, what's left? 3/2, 3/2, right? And then that can reduce down to what mixed number?
1/2.
1 and 1/2. Should have been our answer there. Number 19, we had to flip it, right? Multiply by the reciprocal. What did you get for 19, Ben?
3/16.
3/16 is correct. Number 20, what did you have, Kirsten?
I didn't.
Did you get to that one, Michael?
15/14.
Ooh, not 15/14.
I mean 5/14.
5/14 is correct. Okay, you got it. And we'll go Luciana for 21. 11/54 is correct. Questions at all on those? We saw some of them on the board. Do we need to see any others worked? Any of these we need to see worked out? All right. Yes, ma'am. Number 19? Yeah, so make sure we've got the 2140 is that one's okay. Remember, we're going to multiply by and then flip that other, make it a 5/14. Should have canceled to get 1 and 8. Take a 7 out to get 3 and 2. That's where we get the 3/16 Ben gave us. Does that make sense? Did you forget to flip it or did you flip the wrong one? Oh, goodness. No, we multiply by the reciprocal. Make sure we flip. Same thing would happen on 20 and 21. We flip that second one. All right, flip back to page 149 now. Look at the example problem at the top of page 149. There are times that the book may use scale drawings. This is used, for instance, on floor plans. Anyone ever seen an architectural drawing or a floor plan of some kind? And they're drawn to scale, but they obviously, I mean, they can't draw the house as big as the house is. That's ridiculous, right? So they make it smaller. Well, in this case, we've got a little grid, and for letter A, we've got this green square. And they tell us that the box, each little box is a foot all the way around. Well, if that's the case, look at the green square class. How many boxes tall is the square?
4.
4 boxes. And if every side of a box is a foot, how tall then is the box? 4 feet. How wide is the box or square class? 4 feet. And so if it's 4 feet all the way around, then what would be the perimeter of the square? Remembering that P equals 4S. Class? 16 feet. We plug the 4 foot side in, and we multiply to get 16 feet. Does that make sense? They're just saying that every box is a foot. But look at letter B. That shape class is a rectangle. Well, count how many boxes long is the rectangle, class? 7 long, okay? That's 7 feet, right? But there's 2 lengths. So the 2 lengths combined would be how many feet, class?
14.
14 feet. 7 feet, 7 feet is 14 feet. How tall is the rectangle, class? 5, but there's 2 of those, so that's going to be 10. So we had 14 and 10 adds up to 24 feet. Do we see what they did using the scale drawing? Now, the nice thing about this is they used 1. Turn the page. Number 10, they are not so kind to you. Because look at number 10 on page 150. Each side of each little square is how big, class? 1.1 meters. Well, what shape do we have on number 10, class? A square. What's our formula for the perimeter of a square?
P equals 4S.
P equals 4S. Now, here's the question. How many boxes is each side? 5 boxes. But each box is 1.1, and there's 5 of them. So how long is each side if there are 5 boxes, each measuring 1.1 meters, class? 5.5 meters. We were going to multiply that by 4 at your seats to find the perimeter. Take about 15 seconds to find it. And write it down. Some people are like, I found it already. I did it in my head. Yeah, write the answer down. And what do we get for this perimeter here, Kirsten? 22 meters. How many are the 22 meters? All right, questions on that? Again, it's not as nice as when it's just one nice easy meter of 1.1. Really, who does that? Just to really mess with you, look at number 11, class. Each side of each box is how big?
3.5.
3.5 yards. Well, what shape do we have in number 11, class?
A rectangle.
A rectangle. The formula for the perimeter of a rectangle is?
P equals 2L plus 2W.
Well, the width is only how many boxes, class?
3.5 yards.
Is 1 box. So the width then, class, is?
3.5.
3.5 yards. You were just one question ahead of me there, Jalen. The length is how many boxes, class? 5 boxes. Each box is how big on each side? 3.5. At your seats, find the length. 5 boxes, 3.5 yards each box. What is that length? Griffin?
I still didn't finish it.
Well, finish it then. You were looking up here, so I assumed you had the length. I'm not looking for the final answer yet, just the length. Kirsten?
17.5.
17.5, just 5 times 3.5, right? There's 5 of these little boxes in the length. Each one is 3.5. So we just multiply. 3.5 times 5. That's where we get 17.5 yards. That's the length. But there's 2 lengths. Desist. There's 2 widths at your seats. Find the perimeter now of this rectangle. Find the perimeter of the rectangle. A few people already have it. Give you another moment to finish it up and get our answer from Ben.
21 yards.
Well, if you just added a length and a width, it would be 21, but we did double each of these. So we should have 2 times 17.5. Anyone? 2 lengths, 2 widths, remember. 2L plus 2W.
I got it.
Sam's got it.
Is it 35?
This is 35. When you do the 2 lengths, that comes to 35. What about the 2 widths? 2 times 3.5? Class? 7. And so now when we add together, what do we get for our perimeter?
42.
42. Now, there is a shortcut you could use here, class. If you add length plus width and then multiply by 2, that would also give you the same perimeter. So if you're like, well, the length is 17.5, the width is 3.5, that's 21. All right, now account for the fact there were 2 of each of those. Just double this length and width, because there's another length and width combined, and that gives you your perimeter. Questions on 11? You do, number 12 at your seats. And Bryson's got it? What is it? Well, how big is each box? But there's 2 boxes in each side, so how big is each side? 10 feet. And the perimeter of a square is P equals 4S. So if each side is 10, 4 times 10 should give us 40 feet. There we go. How many have 40 feet for your perimeter? Questions on the little scale drawing thing?
No.
Questions on that? Let's look at these word problems here. Read number 13 out loud for us, if you would, Luciana.
Art Cassius was editing his office. The dimensions of the floor are 16 feet long by 15 feet wide. How much trim will he use of all?
At your seats. Find how much trim. The trim is what goes around the bottom of the floor. It's not this stuff. This is cheap plastic base molding. So trim would be the same thing but in wood, and it looks prettier and costs more. And it takes more work to put up. But it looks nice. What do you got? How much trim we gonna need to get around that office? That does not account for the door, okay? So I know we're like, but what about the door? How wide is the door? 30 inches. Just kidding. Don't actually subtract that. What'd you get, Luciana?
62 feet.
How many had 62 feet? Double the length, that's 32. Double the width, that's another 30. Add to get 62 feet. Number 14, read that for us if you would, Elaine.
The base of the Washington Monument is a square, 55.5 feet long on each side. What is the perimeter of its base?
At your seats, find out how long all the way around the sides of the Washington Monument. 55.5 feet each side, but it's a square base. How do we find the perimeter of a square, Elaine?
Multiply by 4.
Multiply each side times 4, so we get?
222 feet.
How many had 222 feet for the distance around the base of the Washington Monument? Questions on that? Yes, sir.
Why are there so many American flags around the?
Because it's America. This was our first president, so they put a ton of flags all the way around it. Yes, sir.
Wait, so if it's a square, you do that for 4S?
You just multiply the length of one side times 4.
So it's just for a square?
Just for a square. You can do that. Yep. Rectangle, you double the length, double the width, then add them together. And then other figures, just add them all together. Number 15. Read that for us, if you would, Griffin.
A chain link fence was installed around the perimeter of a playground. The playground is 140 feet wide by 800 feet long. How many feet of fencing was needed?
All right, at your seats. How much fence we need to get around the playground? What shape, class?
Rectangle.
Rectangle. So we're going to double the length, double the width, then add them together. And Jalen, what you got?
1,880 feet.
How many? 1,880 feet. Questions on that one? Last word problem number 16. Read that if you would. Let's see, Ben.
The U.S. Department of Defense is housed in the Pentagon. Located in Washington, D.C., the building is a regular pentagon with 921 feet long.
Sides. Yeah. Each side is 921 feet long. Keep going.
Calculate the perimeter of the pentagon. A polygon having angles equal and all sides equal is regular.
There we go. So a pentagon, you realize, could just have 5 random lengths of sides, right? But a regular pentagon class, everything's going to be exactly the same length all the way around. And that's true for the Pentagon building in Washington, D.C. 921 feet is each side of the Pentagon. What's the quick way to find this, Ben?
Add
Add what?
all of them together.
Add all what together?
The number
What number?
921.
Add all the 921s together? I could do that, but what's a faster way to do the same thing then? Class?
Multiply by 5.
Times 5, right? At your seats. If you haven't already, I know many of you are working just now, find the perimeter of the Pentagon building. It is considerably bigger, since it's actually offices and stuff, than the Washington Monument, which is also in Washington, D.C. What did you get for your perimeter, Sam?
Feet long.
Feet, there we go, 4,605 feet. Hey, it's getting close to a mile all the way around. Think about that. One lap around the Pentagon. Almost a mile. 5,280 feet would be a mile. 4,605 feet isn't too far off. So anyway, how many have that answer for 16? Questions on that? Drop down to the review very quickly. Do the review, 17 to 24. Bless you. I mean, you could have just walked straight over there, Sam. I make them walk around so they won't go in front of the camera. You don't have to worry about it. It's okay. the other people finished. Darth Michael. Don't worry about it. Number 17, class, what's the name for two rays that share the same endpoint?
Angle.
Angle. What polygon has 6 sides?
Hexagon.
Hexagon. What polygon is a quadrilateral? What does quadrilateral mean, class?
4 sides.
4 sides. Okay. Which polygon is a quadrilateral, 4 sides, whose opposite sides are parallel?
Parallelogram.
Parallelogram. Now, rhombus is a little too specific, Michael, because yes, but it's special in that all the sides are equal as well. I didn't say that part of it. Trapezoid, no, because only one pair of sides are parallel, but opposite sides, both sets of opposite sides parallel in a parallelogram. How many sides does a trapezoid have, class? 4, which means it is a quadrilateral. Write the symbol for line AX. Should have written a capital A, capital X, a line with little arrows over it. How many had that?
I
For
put the line right over the A and X they already had.
You just used the AX that was already there and drew the line over it. I like it. Lazy. I love it. I couldn't do that on the board, though. When two lines are perpendicular, what kind of angles do they form, class? Right angles. How many degrees in a right angle? 90 degrees. Good. What does that thing mean? How would we read what it says in number 23, Kirsten?
Line RT is parallel to line NM.
Perfectly read, perfectly said. Line RT is parallel to line NM. And number 24, which polygon is a parallelogram that has all sides equal, class?
Square.
Rhombus is the better answer. Square is true. Square would not necessarily be wrong, but square is extra special in that it also has right angles, right? But just being a parallelogram with equal sides makes it a rhombus. If you also have right angles, now you're to a square. So rhombus is the better answer for 24. Go and clear your desks, except for a clean sheet of paper and a pencil. Let's take a quiz over this basic geometry stuff. Clear your desk, except for a clean sheet of paper and a pencil. Everything else away. Quick reminder that we will need a compass and a protractor by Thursday. That is tomorrow. This next lesson, lesson 63, have that in class. That's your only homework tonight, by the way, is to have your compass and protractor with you tomorrow. So bring those to school. Everything else is off your desk now except for a blank sheet of paper. A blank sheet of paper. Let's say he's got code on here.
Coding.
Polystrate. Bologna pine. I think that's shorthand for polygon.
Oh.
And parallel lines. I see what he was trying to do here. Cheaters never prosper. I'm just kidding. He wasn't really trying to cheat. I'm just picking on it.
Science.
All right. Come on, hurry it up. This is quiz 13, by the way, for those watching on video. Quiz 13. When you get quiz 13, put your first and last name in the name spot. You have the book away there, Michael. Yes, there we go. Okay. First and last name in the name spot. Today's date in the date spot. As we take a look at the quiz very quickly together here, you will notice that the first section, you're simply identifying what polygon do we have. So just name the polygon that you see pictured there in numbers 1 through 8. Numbers 9 through 14, you're given a description of a geometric figure, and you're going to put the letter of the correct term. So pretty straightforward. Write the names of the figures, put the letters of the terms. I'm going to end the video here. Make sure you use that blank page as a cover sheet.